This is going to be entitled Victims of Our Own Algorithm. Victims of Our Own Algorithm. It's really concerning. It's really concerning what's happening in America right now. Feels like the beginnings of what could turn into somewhat of a civil war. People keep getting played if people don't wake up to what's really going on. There's puppets and there are puppeteers. And people who really are controlling the game and being a puppeteer love distraction, they love division, separation, they love chaos because that's what makes money. That's why war makes money. It's really time for people to start waking up because life has always had an algorithm. Way before computers, your heart and your mind carry an algorithm, which means you see what you want to see. And it is a programming that happens. And the reality that you live is a reality of your own consciousness. So what you focus on, you see more of. You see, your brain has something called the reticular activating system, and it filters out things that really don't concern you right now. It filters out things that are unimportant to you right now. It filters out things that may not match what you choose to believe, and it really focuses on things that match what you want to think. So you're creating your own reality. And now with social media, that's been put on steroids, where you see what you want to see. You start believing in a reality that you've created, and they're using that against you. All this Republican and Democrat and these things that divide people, they're using it against you because what you're doing is you're only seeing the things that represent what you want to believe about another human being. And the fact of the matter is, you have way more in common with your next door neighbor who carries a different political view than you have with these multi-billionaires that are controlling how you see things. How many of you had somebody in your life that you really liked, you had no problem with, and as soon as you learned of their political ideology, you suddenly had a problem with them? And you're not focused on all those things you had in common before. You assume that because this person slants this way or that way, that they are this kind of person, and all the negative things you've attached to it, because that's what you programmed your algorithm to believe. You see more of what you believe, and that's where racism comes from, where you take the worst of a particular race, and now your algorithm keeps seeing more and more of that. And then you color that entire race that way. If you're a white person who has an issue with black people, it's because you took the worst of black people, and especially now with social media, you might see some gang activity or some rioting or whatever. Now your feed is just feeding you that, and you color the entire race that way. And that's also true with black people when you look at white people. And you got this thing in your head that white people are this way. And now your algorithm in your mind, on your social media, algorithms are everywhere, just sees that. And you think an entire race that way. And you do the same thing with politics. Is you'll see maybe looting and rioting. And you say, those people, those left wing people are awful. Look at them. And you don't personally know one person who's doing that. And you color it all that way. Or maybe it was the storming of the White House. Look at them. Look at those Republicans. You didn't know any of those people. And you assume they're all that way. And what I'm asking people to do is to tap into your humanity, because all of this stuff is being constructed so that you see more of what you focus on. Sometimes I get so disgusted when I see the comments. A young lady might comment something, and I'm reading all the misogynistic, all the horrible comments just because she's an attractive lady. You know why? Because that young man's algorithm is full of girls who have 2% of their body covered. So they look at the world through that lens and they can't see anything else, or they've programmed their mind that way. And that goes with everything. So remember, your reality is based on what you wish to see. You can't look at a person and just assume you know everything about them. You know, as a black man, I've had many people try to tell me how to be black. You know what they don't realize? I was born and raised in Hawaii. So a lot of my influences growing up was of Hawaiian people, Polynesian people, Tongan people, Samoan people, Asian people. I am who I am. There's no one way to be. I see the world the way I see it. And I feel blessed to grow up the way I did because I'm never uncomfortable. I remember one time I was in Nashville, Tennessee, and I was in this bar. I was at a work convention, and this man said, Rodney, what's it feel like to be the only black man in this bar? Is that kind of uncomfortable? I said, no. I never realized it until you mentioned it. And he said, how can that be? Because growing up, I was always the only black person in class. Sometimes I was the only black person in school. It wasn't a big deal to me. So I continue to live that way. And because my algorithm doesn't carry some of those things that someone else's experience does, I don't experience what other people experience. Racism has barely touched my life. And that's the truth. And I don't mean that to take away anybody else's experience. That has been my experience. My algorithm doesn't process it. So if I meet a white man and he's rude, I just say he's probably having a bad day. I don't go there. That's not how my mind works. But that's my particular experience. And if you allow yourself to have your particular experience and not the experience that's fed to you, that social media and the algorithm gives you, you will be free to have independent thinking, and you will be free to tap into your humanity, and you'll be free to be best friends with someone that you may disagree with on politics without assuming that because somebody is a Republican, they're racist, without assuming that because somebody is a Democrat, they have no morals. That's silly to assume that this side's more evil than that side. I know horrible people who are Republicans. I know horrible people who are Democrats. I know amazing people who are Republicans. I know amazing people who are Democrats. Your humanity should be bigger than your politics. Because if you don't, you will continually to be controlled by the puppeteers, the news organizations. When I was a kid, it was like Walter Cronkite. They reported the news. Now you have news stations that just feed their constituents and their fan base. They just feed them. And that's how people get a cult-like mentality. I was raised in something that I consider a cult religiously. And the first thing they do is control your information. So you get information from one source so everyone thinks the same way. And what they do is they create a us versus them mentality. I was raised this way. It's us and everyone else is against us. Everyone else is after us. They create an enemy and they create a hope that only comes through them. So whenever you're looking at a political candidate, watch their slogan, because what they're trying to tell you is only this hope only comes through me. And they got a slogan and you go, that's my guy. Then you stop thinking and you start following and you start being a sheep. Division is how the puppeteers make money. It's not even your politicians, it's the people above them. It's the people that fund them. It's the people who put them in office. But it's time for us to start waking up and stop this nonsense of division, to stop looking at the worst of people and painting an entire race, an entire political party, an entire country, whatever it is, as the enemy. And it's time for you to understand that nothing is bigger than love. For some of you who carry that Bible around, some of you carry that Bible around and preach that Bible, but you are worshiping somebody that you aren't following the path of, because all of this is nonsense. If you want to follow the path of Christ, then all of this is nonsense. Then you act with love. Then you're a beacon of love. Then you become someone that people want to follow. You become someone that people feel safe being around. You become someone that people respect. You don't do this. You don't do this. You don't make your fellow man your enemy, because you'll see more and more things that try to pull you apart. There's a oneness. There's a oneness in all. Love is the biggest stick you'll ever carry. You're supposed to love your enemies. Be kind. Be welcoming. Learn about another person's experience. Don't think that you know somebody else's walk of life. Don't be a white person trying to talk about a black experience. Go ask that man. Go learn his walk. Learn what he's been through, and that will give you compassion. Don't be a black person assuming white people or Hispanic people or Asian people. There's way more than black and white. But go learn. Go ask questions. Stop looking down on people without asking questions, without being curious, learning what other people experienced. It's so simple, but we get caught up because we're creating our own algorithm that prejudices our minds to see what's coming at us. You know, if a young man wanted to focus on getting girls, and he just focused on that, and he's buying all the, player courses, and he's trying to learn how to talk to women, and guess what? He's going to be very successful at it, because his algorithm, his reticular activating system, will start seeing opportunities everywhere. He'll be like, oh, what happened? I just became incredibly lucky with women. No. Your reticular activating system is focused on it. You're seeing everything. You're not missing any opportunities. You're seeing the world through that lens. If someone is absolutely obsessed about money and success, his reticular activating system gets focused on that. And he sees all kinds of opportunities. And he starts attracting all kinds of opportunities. And people start offering that person something. If a person is focused on all the ills of the world, all the ills that are supposedly against what you believed, and that's all you're going to see. So my friends, it's time to start taking our power back. It's time to start really tapping into your humanity, having compassion for another person's experience, because all politics is a byproduct of a person's upbringing, experiences, influences, and what benefits them personally. So it's never going to be the same, because people are on opposite ends of the spectrum. Hence, the pendulum will go back and forth and back and forth. It's never going to stop. You can't act like the world ended because the other political parties in office, because the pendulum's going to swing back. The people that feel underserved are going to come out and vote in droves, and it's going to go back and forth. But what are you doing with your life? Are you adding value to others, or are we just complaining about what we don't like? And that's the biggest waste of life to me. It's to waste it complaining about what we don't like and not adding to the world the gifts that we have to share. So it's enough of my rant for today. I just feel compelled because the world's going in a really, really bad direction. And the power's in you. They know the power's in you. They don't want you to see it. People have no control over united people. People have no control over a sovereign being. They have control over sheep. And the problem with the sheep is that they don't know that they are. So my friends, I hope it made some sense to somebody. Take care. See you next time.